The goal today is to go through the Pesach guide. The shopping guide. Okay, the way it's gonna, I'm gonna put things into categories. The way to me, as I said, the way to me makes sense. But if something is in a specific category, doesn't mean I don't mean to say that that's the only thing that's wrong with it. My example here is if you have mayonnaise, you're going to see it's going to be in the vinegar category. That doesn't mean that's the only thing wrong with mayonnaise. And if you have a mayonnaise that's maybe without vinegar, then it's okay for Pesach. I'm putting it into what's the most logical and, to me, the most obvious place where it belongs to be a Pesach issue. Okay, these are my 19 categories. See what we're going to do. Okay, these are the categories we're going to do. We're going to do at least the first column, the left column A through G. If we have time, we'll do the whole thing. I suspect we're just going to do half today, half next time. Okay. So the way it is like this. I don't know if everybody thinks like this. But for me, this is going to work mathematically. Okay, so that'll just make sense for me. Okay, I count 344 pieces of information on our shopping guide. Okay, that's what we're gonna work through. We're gonna do the non-food ones first. That's A through G, which is these. Okay, these are the ones that we're gonna try to cover.
Why scope gets a category?
Yeah, well,
okay. I knew someone was going to say that. Okay. Scope does not mean mouthwash. It means scope, like how much we're going to try to cover. Okay. Sorry, I did not.
Once in the morning, Dovid.
I did not mean scope mouthwash. It's not recommended. Okay. And that is like this. Okay. We had the on the shopping guide. I count up 28 things where we reference someplace else. There's no information on our guide, go look someplace else. And they go into 6 groups. Formula, cosmetics, let's see what else they are, I don't remember what they are. Cosmetics, medicines, what are they going to be? Supplements, I can't read fast enough. And pet food, and the last one I think is toothpaste. Okay, so these 28 things. So we're not going to talk about those today. That's for a different day session because these things are all off the shopping guide. They all say in the shopping guide, it says, you want to know about pet food, go look at our pet list or other information. So we're not talking about that. We're also not going to be, the list also has 24 duplicates. Okay, so we were holding it now is, no, it has duplicates because like herbal tea is under H and it's under T also. Okay, the same thing is listed because it's an alphabetical list. Okay, so far, we were holding at this, we did 52 things already. That was really good. In a second, we did 52. Okay? So we have plenty to go. It's going to slow down after that. Okay, in the beginning, it moves a little faster. Okay, our first group is, can you just pass this around? If anybody wants to take notes, these are of the serious slides. If it interests you. Okay, and as what you use, just for the way things work, the way we used to in our guide, and you see on the handout that I gave you, the things are by colors. Okay, green means it's good, it doesn't need hashgacha for Pesach. Red means you're not allowed to use it for Pesach. And yellow or orange, whichever color you think that is, means that it's something that you can only buy if it has hashgacha. Okay? That's how our colors are going to work. Okay, so the next group we're going to do are the inedible items. This is also a pretty long and quick list to help us get through some good numbers. Okay, on this list in total there's going to be 50 items. Please, I'm not going to read them all, okay? If you want to read them on your paper, these are 50 items. So far we have 43 of them up there. 50 items that are not edible, okay? Fabric protector and corn remover and Band-Aids and detergent. All these are things that are inedible, and because they're inedible, that's why they're green. They don't need hashgacha. I'm going to talk about a couple of specific ones, and they are, the first is bleach wipes. Okay, bleach wipes, as you're going to hear as we go on, the cRc's policy is that things that have denatured alcohol require hashgacha for Pesach. We need to know that it's not chametz. That does not apply to bleach wipes, because the bleach wipes are considered to be inedible. The liquid that comes out of them, aside from the alcohol, is so inedible that we don't worry about the fact that it may have denatured alcohol in it. Okay, next is candles. Similar. Candles are similar, that we consider them to be not edible. And even if it's a scented candle, the scent is theoretically edible, but even though that's edible, but it's overall part of an inedible item, and we don't care about that. Okay, next, charcoal.
Even like the bleach wipes.
The bleach wipes.
That's the big one.
No, so bleach wipes, it just says they're It doesn't say even if it has denatured alcohol, and it doesn't say that in there. Actually, there are no ingredients on bleach wipes because we look.
After the word. So what does the asterisk mean?
The asterisk means I'm going to talk about it separately. I'm not just going to put it on the list. That's what it's an asterisk. Okay. Okay. Charcoal. Okay. Charcoal, of course, is inedible. That's why it's on this list. But you'll see charcoals out there that say they're apple or they're hickory or something like that, and those are not flavored with an outside flavor. That's not what it means. It doesn't mean that someone put on hickory flavor onto their charcoal. It means is they used hickory wood in creating the charcoal, which gives a certain type of a fragrance when you roast your hot dogs on it. It gives a certain fragrance to it, and so it's called hickory flavored or hickory flavored charcoal. But it's not flavored with a chemical. It's made just with a different type of wood. It gives that flavor, and that's why it's okay also.
You wrote an cRc acceptable for bleach wipes. Acceptable.
Right.
They do not contain ethyl alcohol.
Is that what it says?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then it shouldn't say it. Okay. Strike it from the record. Well, okay.
Fix it.
Yeah, we'll fix it.
I'll be doing this thing while you're talking.
That's fine. That's fine. Keep yourself busy. That's why the screen's on the altogether, to keep people busy. Keep people from falling asleep. Okay. Crackpot liners. Okay. Crackpot liners. We're going to get in a minute to things that have coatings or possibly have coatings. It's our belief that the crackpot liners are just a piece of plastic and it does not have a coating on top of it. And for that reason, we recommend all of them. The plastic is obviously not edible. It's our impression that they don't have a coating on them. From everyone who we've spoken to, we believe that's true. And that's why we recommend them. I guess if we find that otherwise, we'll change our minds. But as of now, we believe that it doesn't have coating. It's just basically a piece of plastic.
Wait, so coating you mean like a starch?
No, like anything. But some kind of a greasy something on top of it, rather than just a piece of plastic.
Sometimes in these they carry actually starch.
If we don't believe that they do anything like that, but if we were to know that it was, then we would reconsider.
No, your meat plants, you have that to keep right. No, that's right. That's what I'm suggesting is that meat. When our meat plants, they start ordering Pesach bag in February.
Right.
They start. So should we say something like, "Put your hand in"?
Well, I've done it. I mean, I use crackpot bags in my house, and we've done it. We've asked people. We looked into it. We don't believe there's anything in there. Again, I'm ready to be told that that's not true. So as far as we know,
I'm not arguing. I'm saying should we add that? Make sure there's no. Put your hand in, and if it comes out,
yeah, make sure. Again, we use crackpot bags in my house.
You don't have to make cookies about it. Yeah. I don't know that it's fine in the sort of hair.
Put it on the bag. It kind of feels slippery. I'm not quite sure.
Can I bring it here?
they're going to ask you over the phone. It's the one I have. Okay.
Okay. Now,
Are the dates the Pascal goes for Pesach? That was my question.
okay. So I forgot. I'm sorry. You guys have to be in county. I realize that for my next thing, there's a whole. This is only part one of the inedibles. Okay. There's a whole bunch more inedibles, and for that, my next thing I have to tell you is on this list. Okay. Okay. Here we have some exciting things like petroleum jelly and silver polish and nail polish and all kinds of other things that we consider to be not inedible. Okay. Now for this, we have on here that insecticides. Insecticides on the top left are considered inedible and they're okay. However, the traps, we have this impression that in the traps they sometimes put edible things to catch the animals, like a mouse or something like that. And therefore, we tell people that if it may have chametz inside of it, you shouldn't use it. I haven't a clue how someone's supposed to figure out if it has chametz inside of it, but that's what we tell people.
Mix borax with jelly and you'll get rid of the ants.
Okay, thank you very much. So whoever doesn't want to use that and doesn't want to use...
Borax with jelly. Borax with detergent.
Bleach.
Costs like only $2.
So what are Reagan uses?
Mix it, Yeah. Mix it in with some jelly, leave it out. No, really. So I'll just tell people to use this for eating out
But we tell them, unless you know there's nothing inside that's edible, which, of course, there's no way to know.
There's no ingredients on it.
Yeah, who's going to know? I mean, I guess you could cut them open, but
And do some lab work.
Okay. Liquid dish detergent. Liquid dish detergent is inedible. And when we say it's inedible, that means it's considered inedible, and you could use it on your dishes, even though that's going to have sort of a food contact to it. You're going to wash your dishes with it, and it's going to then you eat on those plates. That's okay. It's considered inedible, and you're allowed to do that. And
It doesn't need Pesach certification?
right, correct. And
So this is a big one where others argue with us.
Yeah.
Be ready for that.
yeah, it's a common question. That's why I put it on this
And
list.
then we answer them if they
Good.
go according to the other agency. Why are you calling us? Would you like that
I
number?
once had that with Rabbi Heineman in a public forum.
I don't know.
It was a public forum where we were going at it, not going at it really. opinion, which was that because they try to make it so palatable, so it actually goes, people eat it because it's the residue, that's why they consider it more opposed to say. I'm just
Okay, that's fine.
Know what the,
That's fine. That's fine. I mean, yes, the other day I told someone what we think about typing electronic things, and after I finished, he was so excited. He said, "I love the cRc today."
What did you tell him?
I told him good news. That's why he was happy. You know? Okay. Okay. So where we're holding it now is.
Well, plastic wrap had asked the receipt.
I did. You missed it. Okay. It's
Plastic wrap?
plastic wrap. Plastic wrap is the same as
Crock-pot liner.
same as crock-pot liners. That we don't believe it has a coating on it. Okay. So we were holding it now. We finished our second section, and we've already done 102 items. Okay. 242 to go. Okay. It's going to slow down now. Okay, next, which is similar, very much similar to the inedible items, is the things that are innocuous. We have a dozen things here that we think that they are innocuous, and they are, you have them on your papers, but you can see the children. All kinds of things that the way you make them, like hydrogen peroxide, is not, that's a mistake. Hydrogen peroxide is like, it's something that it doesn't have any questions to it about how you make it for Pesach, and therefore it's recommended as is. It doesn't make a difference.
Why are these on the inedible list?
Excuse me? So it was a big debate which one they should be on. So some of them went on.
Baking soda is edible. You cook with it.
That's why it's not inedible, but like hydrogen peroxide. He doesn't hear. This is an innocuous list. This is not inedible.
Bleach, you know,
Which is okay. So we could. Okay. Okay. Yeah, just two different ways to say it. Okay. However, on this list of innocuous, there's something we need to talk about, and that is eggs. Okay. Whole eggs that are in their shell, raw whole eggs, are okay for Pesach. They're innocuous. They're as they are. They're okay. Now, I'm getting to that. Okay. Now, there's two things to talk about in here. The first is let me talk about the pasteurized one. Okay. There are eggs that come pasteurized. They're in the shell, they're raw, but they're pasteurized, so this way you can bake with them and not be afraid of killing your company. Okay, so the pasteurized eggs are pasteurized, we believe, in machinery that's dedicated for pasteurizing eggs. So it doesn't pose a Pesach question because they do pasteurize them, there is heat involved, but that's all they do is pasteurize eggs, so we're okay to use the pasteurized eggs. The eggs that are pasteurized in the shell, those are okay. Now, we do recommend to people, there are three things that we recommend to people that they're okay to use, but preferably they should either have hashgacha or you should buy them before Pesach. Okay? Eggs, milk, and cut up vegetables or salads. Okay? And the reason for those three those are three things that there's a possibility, there's a very small possibility, but there's a possibility that there's something in that process that could be chametz. In the case of the eggs, there's the coatings that they put on the eggs or stamping that they put on the outside of the egg. They wash it with citric acid. In each of these three things, there's a small possibility that something that they put onto it would be chametz. If that were to happen on Pesach, chametz can't be buffalo on Pesach. So these things not only do they have this small possibility, but they're sold fresh also. That means that the chicken lays the egg today, tomorrow it's in the supermarket. So if I go to the supermarket on a Chol Hamoed and buy eggs, it's possible that the egg had chametz put onto it on Pesach, or washed onto it on Pesach. So for eggs, milk, and cut up vegetables like your salads, things like that. Why would we think that? What? We know that there are things put on, like the vegetables are washed with, in a lot of places, with citric acid. The milk has vitamins added into it. So there's a small possibility that those things are chametz. Actually, the vitamins in the milk might be chametz. So if that happened before Pesach, it's buffalo. It's in tiny amounts. We're not worried about it. But were it to happen on Pesach, it would not be buffalo. And therefore, for these things, wait, just 1 second. For these things, we tell people you should buy with hashgacha. If you can't see with hashgacha, you should buy before Pesach to avoid having any questions about buying on Pesach.
So we're saying eggs you should buy with hashgacha.
Or before Pesach. Well, eggs with hashgacha Pesach don't really exist. I don't think that exists.
There are.
There's such a thing? Okay, it could be it exists. But we,
It's by egg before Pesach.
for other reasons,
The main isn't it for making the Ramesh's churros?
because they eat chametz.
Yeah, the milk and the...
Not really the milk.
Except that in America they don't eat chametz. But yeah, I guess in theory, that's a much smaller shadow.
But the eggs is a liquid egg also.
I'm not liquid eggs. But liquid eggs. Here's liquid eggs. Cooked eggs or liquid eggs, those are surely hashgacha. Okay, we're only talking about now is whole raw eggs in the shell. like you buy, a dozen at a time. But liquid eggs need hashgacha. Those are cooked. They have other ingredients added to them. Those need hashgacha. So this list of innocuous things has this one yellow spot there in the middle. It's an egg.
Eggs. Cohen buys older eggs before Pesach, but they continue selling the older eggs on the...
That's fine. So that egg is from before Pesach. That's okay. The idea is you don't want to buy an egg that was laid on Pesach, that someone did something to it on Pesach. So if you know in your store that they buy it before Pesach and they just stock up on them, that's the same thing. That's an egg that's from before Pesach.
One day.
I don't know exactly how many days, but it's not a long time. So these are things that are sold fresh.
It could be like 5 days.
Okay, now there's one more thing. There's one more thing.
That's why they don't call this one look on Facebook.
How come I don't see it on here? Oh, it's not on. Okay, on the bottom left, there's a change of policy for this year. And it was supposed to go separate. Bottom left, coconut.
Coconut?
Shredded coconut. Okay. In the past, we told people that shredded coconut needs hashgacha no matter what. Okay. We looked into it a little bit more this year, and we changed the rules. And the new policy.
Change the rules?
Change the rule. Change the policy. And the new policy is shredded coconuts, if they're not sweetened and they're not flavored, it's just plain shredded coconuts, they're okay. The only problems are when they're sweetened or flavored. That's going to be on the later screen. I don't know why it's here, but why it's not here. But the green one is the shredded coconut that has nothing else added to it, not sweetened, not flavored. That's fine. Okay. And here we are. Okay. We finished straight. Okay.
Mineral oil. Where do you get those images?
Did I recommend mineral oil?
No, that's even if it has the small most of them do.
Okay, so let me clarify. Let me clarify. Sorry, let me clarify. Yes. It says on here mineral oil. So Rabbi Fishman says, well, wait a second. What happens if my mineral oil has something else mixed into it? Okay? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about when it says mineral oil, it means mineral oil. Just plain old mineral oil. If yours mineral oil says mineral oil and vegetable oil, then you get a second question. I'm not going to answer that question, but I'm saying that when we say you go buy paraffin, that doesn't mean paraffin with something else. It means paraffin. That's what it means.
When they sell mineral oils, they usually add vegetables and carrot that we're still alive. I'm just pointing that out.
Okay.
It won't say vegetable oil on it?
Carrier.
I don't know what that means. What does it mean, a carrier?
It helps it do what it needs to do.
Well, you're talking about mineral oil in a bottle that you just buy in the store? And you buy in CVS?
No, I'm talking about any plants. They buy mineral and apply it to...
No plants goes back into questions. We're talking about consumers. When I walk into the store and I buy a bottle of mineral oil, I don't know what you do with it, but you buy a bottle of mineral oil, so we believe that's pure.
Yeah, but this paraffin, you're talking about the liquid, right? Mm-hmm. It's colored sometimes.
Fine.
So colored, it's
in that case, it's fine. Yes. Okay. Move on to our next thing, and that is the things that are more complex. That what these have in common, all that they have in common is that they're just complex, and therefore all these things need hashgacha. Okay, these are I don't know how many other 8 things going to be here that need hashgacha. One of them that I put on separately is syrup. I don't know what that means, but it's on our list. I'm not sure if that means like maple syrup kind of thing, if it means like Petel syrup like you put in your salad. I don't know what it means, but whatever it is, it's complex.
Can you just talk for a second why the food coloring tells...
Because it's complex. There's just too much going on in there. There are too many ingredients in there for us to just say, nah, it's no problem, you can use it as is. We do them one by one. If you look at a specific one, it could be that it's okay.
There's no common carrier or ingredient there.
No, but
the coloring is just chemical.
The coloring per se is not the problem. It's whatever else is going on in there that makes it. We don't know what's in there. It's too complicated, and we just say, buy with that. That's why it's yellow. It's coming. It's going to come. It's going to come. It's going to be there. Okay, we're really in the non-foods, and some of the things you saw here were foods, also like eggs, but we're really the first bunch are non-food items. That's our first one. Okay. Next thing, you can take on your mouth. Okay. Braces. Okay. I don't know if you wear braces, but we get close to that then. Okay. And they are. Where is it? Okay. Braces and dentures. Okay. We follow the opinion that braces and dentures don't need to be specially kashered for Pesach. We assume that they don't absorb, not everybody thinks like that, but we assume that they don't absorb any flavor because the food you put into your mouth leave when you would kasher it. There's a torch, right. But
is. Boiling water.
Okay. No, but there are people. I will say there are people who don't eat hot chametz at 24 hours before Pesach to avoid having questions of ben yom flavor being in their braces or dentures. We don't say that. We tell people we assume that there's no time being absorbed into them. The food that you put into your mouth is not hot enough to make a blia go into those things, and therefore we let people use them.
You don't recommend waiting 24 hours.
Right, that's correct.
Don't eat or don't take them
No.
out.
No, there are people who don't eat hot for 24 hours. Hot chametz for 24 hours. Okay, that's fine. Now,
We know that's not true. I mean, it is, yeah, it's letters. 100, you do get 120.
okay, so
What's the star?
we can.
The star?
No, the assumption is
What is a cliche?
it's a cliche. It's not yes. Let's first. Okay, a different part. Okay, on braces have some other things that go along with them, and that is there's a wax that people put on the braces that's inedible and that's okay. And also there are rubber bands that people use in their braces. The rubber bands, some of them are coated. And if we tell people, it's actually on the next list, I think. We tell people that they should rinse off those rubber bands before they use them. The starch that's on there is almost for sure it's going to be kidneys, and not really such a serious issue, but we tell people they should rinse off the rubber bands before they use them. Okay, chewing tobacco. We don't recommend it. We don't recommend it year-round that people use chewing tobacco. But if you're using it anyhow, for Pesach, you need to have hashgacha because it has flavors.
Because why?
Because it has flavors in it. There's a flavor into it.
Is there true tobacco in shekels?
I have no idea. But that's how I think. Unless I should say. When I say it needs hashgacha, I mean or you know that it has no chametz in it. If you can't figure that out, then you can't figure it out. But when we say it needs hashgacha, or you figure it out, then it's okay. Okay, dental floss.
Okay, what about cigarettes? We always have questions.
Cigarettes? We don't have
What about the liquid cigarettes?
no liquid cigarettes. We don't recommend for year-round
You
either.
don't recommend
The regular cigarette? I don't know. It's not for shopping guides. I'm off the hook. I don't know.
They have comments, but in the past you said it's not considered by law. It's definitely a comment.
Okay.
Yes.
It's not on our
considered by law.
okay. It's not on our list. We'll have to look
So
it up.
what does that mean practically? Can we say no or yes?
Yes. No smoking.
It's not also on Pesach to smoke.
Not more us than
Not
not
more
different
us
than
than
during
the
the year.
rest of the year.
Okay.
You have to buy them before Pesach?
No. Doesn't move so because it's on eggs that the chicken lays the egg and comes to the store. It doesn't do that could be wrong. No, that's good. Okay.
Good question.
Yes. Good question.
Comments.
Yes. Dental floss. Dental floss. We tell people the wax that's on it does not pose an issue. The floss itself is nothing. But we tell people to not use the flavored ones because the flavor is edible. Listerine pocket packs have hashgacha for year-round. They have ingredients that are sensitive, and the hashgacha says we can't take responsibility for Pesach, so we recommend people not use them. And last,
Sorry, they're not the fault of flavor. That's a mint. That's a mint oil.
Mint or sometimes it's cinnamon.
Is mint oil a problem?
we wouldn't recommend it, not knowing what it is for Pesach. For year-round, we say people it's preferable to use without a flavor, but for Pesach, we tell people not to use it with a flavor, unless they know for sure that it's not a problem. That's nothing in there.
I'm asking, mint oil is a problem.
If it was mint oil,
It's always mint oil, almost.
if you knew that it was mint oil, it would not be a problem. But
For Pesach.
it would not be a problem for Pesach. But you have to really know that. So for year-round, we say, you know what? It's probably not an issue. We say it's preferable without it. But for Pesach, the people, they shouldn't use it. Okay, and toothpicks is the same. That they're plain, you can use them. But if they are flavored or colored,
Colored even?
I don't know why it says colored there. Okay, if it's flavored, then you shouldn't use it.
So color is okay.
No idea.
But no,
You don't know colors
you don't
up there, no?
colors
It says on there
That's
that
not the question.
It says over here, it's not flavored or colored.
right.
Okay, so
Why would it
why?
Yeah, why?
We had it before colored something else.
Absolutely.
Colored before we had.
Well, you wrote up here that food coloring is a problem.
Colored people.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
okay
colored
for
paraffin.
your food.
No, you don't eat the paraffin.
You burn the
Don't
paraffin.
put it in your mouth.
Yeah, I'm not worried about
You
paraffin.
put it in your mouth.
Okay, nothing to
So let's change that.
Okay, we'll have to think about that. Let's think. We don't have to change anything. We're now just thinking. We're not thinking.
How long should we think?
Come back and watch Barber. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting someplace, guys. We're at 132.
So where do you get these images?
Now that's a very basic question. I'll talk to you about that. Okay. Now we'll go with things that are questions if they are or not coded. Okay. The connection is because the last time we talked about rubber bands, them having coating. That's a.
Segue.
There we go. Segue. Okay. Okay. Aluminum products like aluminum foil pans, and things like that. They do have a coating. Not aluminum foil, but aluminum pans. There's a coating in them so that when the machine stamps them out, it doesn't rip through the foil, the pan. Because it starts as a flat sheet of foil, and the machine stamps down to make it into the right shape. That coating is not edible. People have tasted it. So we're not worried about that. Okay?
Are we going to
It's not edible, and therefore we don't care whether it's treif or chametz. It's not chametz. It's probably kidneys, but we don't care about it because it's not edible.
What, the oil?
The oil. Okay.
You can buy like a
Certified. Yes. Yes. It's sensitive. That's what he means. He means it's sensitive ingredients.
I don't know, so if a meat is not edible, if it's on our tray and we're cooking with it, doesn't it, are we eating it?
Good question. And on your fruit is wax, also something that's not edible. But if you put little enough of it, it's okay. You know. And balloons and orthodontics. Okay. I mentioned to you beforehand that rubber bands that people put on their braces have a starch on them, and some balloons do also. So we tell people that they should rinse them off before they use them. They don't need to have hashgacha. I know it's yellow, but we just tell people they should rinse them off before they use them. Okay, similar to that is dried fruit.
We don't have rubber bands, and
Do you do it on the braces?
huh?
Do you do it on the
I'm
braces?
saying,
Okay.
just advising it should be handled.
That's fine. That's fine. We'll put it in. Okay, dried fruit is coated with an oil. Usually it's a kidneys oil in order to make sure that things don't stick to each other. So we say that those things should have hashgacha also. And now,
Are these the dates of Costco? Says this.
It does.
Okay.
The Costco. Are these the Costco version of Pesach?
I don't have any reason to think it's different than anything else.
That was the question. I'm in Costco. Can I buy the dates?
So we say they need hashgacha for Pesach. So then we don't know. I mean, we don't know. What can we tell you?
What
Okay.
about mouth
What's the difference
guards?
between
Mouth guards.
Yeah, we're talking about plastic pieces that you
That's
put
fine.
in your mouth.
They're okay.
I mean, all year round, and then you're putting them,
That's okay. Same as like braces.
Yeah.
So,
they're
yes.
plastic.
Yes. Same. They're okay. Now, gloves, disposable gloves.
Wait, dried fruit, is that even if there's nothing in the ingredients?
Not going to be something. It's not going to be in the ingredients. It's not. They put a coating on them. We're not to nuts yet. We're getting there. We'll get there.
Don't ask.
Patient nuts. So far, we're not. These are the non-foods. So I know we mentioned just raisins, but we're in coatings. That's how we're. It's not, no jokes about fruits. Okay. So, okay.
Oh, that's a question.
Done?
I just got a question about glue.
Glue?
Do you need kosher for Pesach?
No. No. What's glue's on the inedible? It should be.
What about it is edible, though?
Edible?
Today are edible. They make them especially because years ago, the kids from people
No, they make them non-toxic. That's different than food. That's different than food. Right.
But with the thought that a kid could put it in your mouth.
Oh, I know. No, this is a question of washable glue. Because 2 years ago, I was told you have to put the washable glue away with the comments because they put starch in it to make it washable. This is just to make it easier on the moms. But
Okay.
it's
I don't know if the starch is there, but I do know that it's not edible.
not edible.
So if it's not edible, I don't get it this time.
Don't feed it to your kids.
There's a lot of reasons not to feed your kids. Okay. Okay. Disposable gloves. Disposable gloves. Now the disposable glove industry's got this really interesting way of doing things. Okay. People make disposable gloves when there's a question that there may be powder on the gloves. So if the glove doesn't have any marking, we assume there's a powder. Either you shouldn't use it, you should rinse it off, or a starch. Now, if they say powderless, to most people think the word powderless means it doesn't have powder. That's the way you speak English. But not for disposable gloves. For disposable glove, powderless means it has less powder. Okay, I'm not sure who came up with that one. Powderless. Yes. Yeah, and it only has no powder if it is powder free. Okay, I don't know someone who doesn't speak very good English. I mean, that's how it works in the industry. That's how it works in the industry. If it says powderless, it means it has not as much as regular powder, but not no powder. Okay,
powder free is okay.
Powder free is okay. The powder free that's up there, those ones have no powder. Gotta go fix. Okay. Okay, but they're just a quirk in the way people make disposable gloves. I don't know. Okay. Or rinse it off if you're worried about. Look, the question is, there's maybe a starch coating on top of it. So I guess you could rinse them off if you want to rinse it.
Inside so you can get your cans inside. So once you rinse it off, it's going to be very hard to get your hand
I
inside.
don't think that could be influenced.
Right.
Okay, so then
So use it, then go with part of free. There you go.
Go to powder
Good option.
Okay, parchment paper. We believe that the parchment paper has a coating on it. Excuse me. A coating on it that might be sensitive, and therefore we say it needs hashgacha.
There's several brands, particularly the Star K brands,
Yes.
that are acceptable and will be on our other.
Good. So what it is that these are the general rules. Okay, these are the general rules. And what happens is, as we find out, Abe's right. As we find out from specific brands that they're okay, we put them. He puts them on the alert, so we stick them to cRc also, where people can see them on our apps, etc. That people can see that we know this specific brand is okay. Abe puts on the alert. That's one angle, and then the other angle, we try to feed that information. We're talking about just the general information.
Isn't there a difference between Fluent and the other one?
It's a general conscious.
Yes.
Also?
One of them is straight.
So we don't recommend that one.
No,
Okay,
it's
so
not, it wouldn't make a difference.
the parchment paper, you know,
One of them,
sometimes
which one is which?
one is safe and one is okay. We only recommend the one that's okay.
Oh, and if anyone finds out specific product information, make sure that the right people know to add it to Ask the cRc.
The right people is Abe and Dovid. Dovid, everyone, there's a lot of Dovids here. Okay, Abe puts it on his alert, and Dovid puts it into the other place where people get information from. Just as we find that specific brands and things like that.
What do you mean by orthodontics?
Orthodontics means things you put in your mouth, like for braces and retainers and all those types of things. That's all.
Not the actual braces
Well,
or dentures, but things that you put in, like
Rubber bands.
rubber bands, retainers, all kinds of biplates, all those kind of things like that.
So you don't have to.
and the idea being that
We're assuming that they're not being Belair. There's nothing on top of them except for the rubber bands. There's nothing on top of them. There's the waxes and the plastic don't have any inherent issues, and we assume that they're not absorbing anything while the person is using it all year round, and therefore he could just continue using it.
well, you could have orthodontics in yellow, which means that it requires.
Oh, yeah.
a great
Did I write that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, it's yellow. I'm sorry. It's yellow because of the rubber band. Okay, so that should be good. That's not right. I should fix that. It shouldn't be yellow.
And parchment paper, do you need to restrict that to parchment paper, or are you suggesting that paper goods also have a
That's the next section is paper goods. Next section is paper goods. Okay, parchment paper is its own special one.
Parchment.
This is paper. Now we're...
It doesn't include wax paper. It's just parchment paper, right?
Right.
Wax
Okay.
paper's on the next one.
Is it? Oh, look at that.
Yeah, look at that.
Very impressive. I didn't realize that. Okay. Okay. Now paper. Paper. Okay. The paper is inherently inedible. There are starches used in actually producing the paper. That is to say, before it looks like a sheet of paper or a coffee filter or a paper napkin. We don't worry about those things. Those are sort of like built in to the paper and are considered inedible from that side. There were those who believe that there's a starch put on top of it. We went to some paper plants. We spoke to people. As we stand now, we don't believe there's anything on top of the paper, on the plates and on the napkins and the filters and tissues, all this kind of stuff like that.
Can we do those tests here?
We've done some tests because it starts in the paper, in the creation of the paper, but not on the top of the paper, not on the surface of the paper. Yes, we did play with them this year, 2 years ago. So all these kind of paper things we recommend. As of the past couple of years, we let them even for hot because we're not worried about anything that's on top of them.
That's the last couple of years. Does that mean this year we do?
Yeah, it's fine. Even fine. Okay. Okay, now...
Is there anything about the first paper towel?
Yes,
Blue?
the first paper towel means Rabbi Goldsweig. That's what Rabbi Goldsweig says. Okay.
Give it to Rabbi Goldstein.
Rabbi Goldsweig got up and someone said to him, what about the first one? Has glue and you shouldn't use it. I was told you shouldn't use the first couple. He says, this is my address, bring them to my house. We'll be happy to take them.
He's in LA now.
You get the address? You get the address?
I'll send you his address. You can mail it.
Okay, so, everyone has to tell me, is everybody awake enough to do the second half, or should we wait the next half? Fine. Okay. Okay, fine. Okay, part 2. The food items. Okay. These are, how many others? 12 categories we're going to go through. Okay. First one is the ones that are just plain old, good old-fashioned chametz. Okay. And that includes, now I didn't put on here like bread and cookies. Okay. But it has things. It has on it benefiber. The benefiber that you buy on retail level.
What is benefiber?
It's a laxative. The benefiber that you buy on a retail level is wheat starch. That's the only thing that it has in it, and we consider it to be chametz.
Even in Panama.
Even in Panama. We had a question this week from Panama, someone who wanted it. It has a little bit of a different name. It's a shaila in din whether wheat starch is chametz, but it is wheat starch. That's all it is. We assume that it's chametz. Okay? We can talk about afterwards the shaila afterwards, but we assume it's chametz. No, I didn't say Miralax. That's in the medicines, and Miralax happens to be okay. I'm talking about specifically about benefiber. Okay, now, but benefiber.
Oh, that's a brand name.
Yeah, that's a brand name. Benefiber also is sold for like nursing homes and such. That's a different product. It's not the same benefiber as the one that's sold retail. So the one in a nursing home, they may look at it and it's not wheat starch, and I don't remember what the ingredients are. I think it was okay. I don't remember. But benefiber for consumers is just made out of what we consider to be plain chametz. Okay, brewer's yeast. Okay. Later I'm going to talk to you about regular yeast, but brewer's yeast is a byproduct of making beer. Okay? It's after the yeast has done its thing on making the beer, they recover that yeast, and they sell that as is, and that's plain old chametz. Okay? It's made out of barley.
How come we don't have any yeast on when we use the cRc?
We do have yeast.
No.
Well, then,
Nothing comes in.
okay, it should be, because we have
Regular.
regular yeast is on my list here, so if it's not on there, it should be. It should be. Okay, yeast is coming later, but okay. Next, flour and matzah. Okay, when you make flour, the standard flour you buy in the store is tempered. Tempered means is that they spray small amounts of water onto the grains before they grind them, and it sits in that water for a long time. We treat that as safek chametz. Even though it has the water on it, we treat that as safek chametz. So plain flour, you're not allowed to use on Pesach. Matzah, that's not meant specifically for Pesach, is obviously made from tempered flour. So it already has something against it. Plus, there's a lot of detail that goes into making matzah to make sure it doesn't become chametz along the way. And of course, year-round, nobody pays any attention to that. So we don't recommend matzah from year-round. You need to buy special matzah to Pesach.
Barley's not tempered, right?
But, I'm about to say that, but rye flour and spelt flour are not tempered. Those are not tempered. And those are not chametz. I don't recommend you use them on Pesach because you have to know what you're doing. We don't recommend that. But as far as like selling them, they're not chametz. Rye and spelt flour are not tempered. They're not chametz, and neither is barley or pearl barley. Same thing. Barley is also not wet, made wet during its processing, so it's not chametz. So again, you don't want to use it on Pesach. But as far as can I own it on Pesach, that's okay. Flour is not the same thing. Wheat flour made out of wheat is different than flour made out of rye and spelt. They're processed differently. That's fine. That's fine. Not a problem. Okay, we have a question about wheat grass. Okay, and Play-Doh. No, people buy wheat grass. Yeah. Play-Doh is made. The brand name Play-Doh is made out of flour and water.
Wheatgrass is not wheat.
Wheatgrass is the grass from the wheat plant.
Yeah, but they
It's not the grain of it. Right, just the grass.
They use it in the hotels as a garnish.
It's not chametz. It's grass. It's nothing. It's grass. It's not chametz. The kernel is the grain is chametz, and not the grass. Yeah, we recommend it. It's fine. Okay, Play-Doh. The brand name Play-Doh is made of flour and water. We consider it to be chametz. It's a question, but we consider it to be chametz. But that's specific to the brand name of Play-Doh. Other modeling compounds are not made the same way. They're not all the same, and it depends on what they're made out of. Okay, so when we say Play-Doh is chametz, that means Play-Doh, the brand, that type of modeling clay, modeling compound is chametz. The other ones depends on what they're made of. Okay. Next. Alcohol. Okay. As you likely know, you can make beverage alcohol, the alcohol that you drink, can be made from lots of different grains and fruits. And of course, a common way to make them is to make them out of grains that would be chametz, and therefore alcohol for drinking, what we call ethanol or ethyl alcohol, those things need hashgacha for Pesach. If you buy vodka that has alcohol in it, that could have been made from potatoes, it could have been made from rice, it could have been made from wheat. So it needs hashgacha for Pesach. Okay, that Cohen, which is many people know, only applies to ethyl alcohol. But other alcohols, like isopropyl alcohol, is never made from wheat. It's not possible. Rubbing alcohol, you can't make that out of wheat. Okay, you make that out of petroleum. Okay, that's not a problem. That's okay for Pesach. So when we say alcohol created out of Pesach, alcohol for consumers means alcohol like drinking alcohol. Alcohol for chemists refers to a chemical structure of the molecule. So an isopropyl alcohol for a chemist, that's called alcohol. But that's not something you want to drink at home, for kiddies. Okay, so that isopropyl alcohol cannot be made from chametz. Is not a problem.
Denatured alcohol.
I'm coming to that. Okay, now there's something called denaturing, as Rabbi Masovsky just mentioned. There's something called denaturing, which is to say, for tax purposes, people take regular drinking alcohol and they add things to it that are poisonous or taste really awful. It's for tax purposes, and they try to make it not edible. There's a big question as to whether denatured alcohol is or is not usher on Pesach. We assume that it is, okay, and therefore, liquid air fresheners or baby wipes that have in them denatured alcohol, we don't recommend unless you know that they're not chametz, okay, which you should just know. In the United States, they're probably not chametz, they're probably kidneys, but unless you knew, we don't recommend those items.
They're different than bleach wipes
because bleach wipes, we assume that the liquid coming out of a bleach wipe is really inedible, as opposed
to... The liquid coming out of an air freshener is...
No, it's liquid, baby wipes.
Okay, that's a good question. That's a good question. Baby wipes, well, I don't think baby wipes and bleach wipes are the same.
No,
I don't recommend you change your kids with bleach wipes. We just assume that the bleach wipes are really awful, they have bleach in them, and the baby wipes are just teenage alcohol.
This also comes up with cleaning pads, the facial.
Okay, same kind of thing. Anything that has denatured alcohol, maybe we don't have that on our list, but anything with denatured alcohol, we recommend that you only use if you know it's not chametz. Now, I'm coming to that in a second. Okay. Now, denatured alcohol, sometimes on the ingredient panel it says alcohol. It just says plain old alcohol. Sometimes it says denatured alcohol, or it says SD alcohol. It stands for specially denatured alcohol, or it says SDA 27. Okay, that means this alcohol was denatured using the government's Form 27 formula that had a denatured alcohol. Okay, there's different ways you'd see it listed. So it might say SDA 26B. That means that's how it was done. That's how you notice it on an ingredient panel. Air fresheners, as I remember, don't have ingredient panels. As I remember, they don't have ingredient panels. We try to look into some of them, but we have listings of like deodorants that don't have denatured alcohol and things like that. Liquid deodorant, spray deodorants for people to use. That's not in today's thing, but
You can use that as your air freshener. That's what I...
you could use. Yeah, I guess you could use it as an air freshener. Okay, I never thought of that, but I guess you could use.
You can also use solid.
What's the difference
Between bleach wipes.
inedible products and
I'll talk to you about it afterwards. It's a silent question.
You take alcohol out.
outside in the parking
Right, I'm going to talk to you afterwards. Yeah. That's very funny. Okay, anyhow, I'll talk to you about it afterwards. Okay.
You don't have liquid air fresheners on. You should have,
Liquid air fresheners?
Right there.
No,
It needs to be.
I'm surprised at that. Okay, we'll fix it then.
Methyl alcohol is a different topic.
Methyl alcohol is also not beverage alcohol. Only ethyl alcohol with an E at the beginning, with an M at the beginning, or butyl, or propanol. All those things are not alcohol. They're not beverage alcohol. The only one, the names have to do with how many carbons there are in the thing. But the alcohol just means it has a certain chemical
Like
structure.
for chametz and what you can use on Pesach, you just can't use ethyl and denatured.
Right.
Every other alcohol you
Yes,
can
propanol, butanol, all those things, they're all fine. Butyl alcohol, all those things, they're fine. Okay. Yes. Okay, now,
My test from last year also has ethanol and isomil, also problems. Isoamyl?
Isoamyl alcohol?
Isoamyl.
Very good. Yes, isoamyl. I don't think you ever see that on an ingredient panel, but yes, isoamyl alcohol is a byproduct of making whiskey, but you don't see that to my knowledge, on the ingredient panel.
What's the reason?
Ethanol also? Ethanol.
What's the reason it's liquid air freshener, solid air freshener?
Because the liquid has the denatured alcohol in it, and the solid we see is like way beyond being edible.
That's
what you're asking is that the moisture workers through the alcoholics know how to take out the denatured part and get it fixed.
So what's the issue of the liquid or solid?
Yeah.
And that's easier to digest.
And the last is Perel. Okay, now Perel is, what is it made out of? It's 60% alcohol.
What is Perel?
It's a hand
The hand sanitizer.
What did you say isomil is a byproduct of?
Isoamyl alcohol, byproduct of making whiskey. Of making whiskey. Purell, other sanitizers like that are 62% alcohol, okay? And they're just it's a denatured alcohol. So we said to Rabbi Schwartz, since we don't allow denatured alcohol, should we tell people not to use Purell? So Rabbi Schwartz said, no, it's not edible. So I said to Rabbi Schwartz, but how is it different than the other ones? He said, that stuff is so not edible. I don't even want to try it. The plan was to have him see if he wanted to taste it. He was like, forget it. It's hopeless. Tell people they can use Purell. Even though we don't let them use denatured alcohol.
Air freshener?
Purell. No, well, I don't want to push it, But Rabbi Schwartz said, no problem. You can use the Purell. It's not a question. Okay. Related to...
Gel. Gel.
Okay. Related to alcohol is vinegar. Okay, vinegar, the reason why it's related is because the way you make vinegar is you take alcohol and you ferment it a second time. You use some kind of special microorganism and it turns alcohol into vinegar. Okay? So, just like alcohol could be made from chametz, so too, anything that has vinegar in it could be made from chametz. So all these things, sour tomatoes and ketchup and mayonnaise, all these things here, pickles, these things all are made with vinegar. Anything that's made with vinegar is, by its nature, sensitive to Pesach and needs to have hashgacha. Okay, just because of the vinegar. Now, again, like I mentioned at the beginning, these may have other issues to them also. Okay, but the simplest one is that if you pick up prepared horseradish, it's got a problem because it has vinegar inside of it. Okay, now as opposed to, one difference is, when we say horseradish, to different people that word means different things. Raw horseradish is fine for Pesach. Okay, prepared horseradish is not, you need hashgacha for it. And if the person doesn't know the difference, then they shouldn't use it tomorrow either. Okay? There are people who think that they go to the store and they buy Gold's or whatever brand horseradish and then they use that at the Seder. You're not allowed to use that. Okay? Just throw that in. Okay. That was pretty easy. We'll move on, okay? If you're watching the numbers, we're just at the half point. And numbers was. Okay. Okay. Our next group is kidneys. Okay? This is a really long list here. Okay. The minhag is, there's a whole long list of foods that we don't eat because they're kidneys. Okay? Beans, rice.
Missing a Y.
What's missing a Y?
Kidneys.
It depends how you spell it. Because there'll be I spell. So there's all kinds of things. Okay, there's going to be 4 screens of kidneys. But for now, there's a bunch of things that have kidneys in it. So all those things, a bunch of them, you're not eat like beans and buckwheat and canola oil and chickpeas. Those are things you can't eat because they're kidneys. Cooking oil spray is often made with commonly made with vegetable oil, and the vegetable oil is often kidneys. I can't be common, but it's often kidneys. It also often has alcohol in it also on top of it, so it needs hashgacha for Pesach. Okay, so Pam, I think Pam is listed separately, but cooking oil spray and Pam need hashgacha for Pesach. Okay.
Could you just quickly say why corn flour is different than potato flour in regards to kidneys?
No.
Okay.
No, just for today, just believe me. Okay, corn is kidneys and potato is not.
No, I believe you.
Okay, it's not for today. Maybe in 2 Fridays and we can talk about it. Not today.
Why is potato flour not kidneys?
Not for today. Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. Okay, now, Rabbi Schwartz has told us that when we consider foods to be kidneys, the part of the food that's the kidneys is the seed or the bean of that food. Okay, not the other parts of the plant. And therefore, dill seeds are kidneys, but dill leaves are not kidneys. Okay? So when we say a food is kidneys, we're talking about the edible bean or seed or whatever that part of it is. But the rest of the plant is not kidneys. In bean sprouts, he told us the beans are so intertwined with the leafy part that we should tell people not to use them at all.
Did you say dill seeds?
Dill seeds are kidneys, but dill leaves are not, because the leaf is not the seed part of it. Okay, people in cooking use the leaves. That's a common thing to use. Dill seeds is used for all the kinds of things. But when you go to the store and you buy dill leaves, those are not kidneys. Okay.
So dried dill is
Yes. Yes.
You understand that the kidneys
Well, kidneys is actually bought the baroi. It's bought the baroi. As long as it's more of the kosher food than the kidneys, it's bought the baroi. It's bought even in not even in shishim. It's even bought on Pesach. Okay? So if it went into your food by mistake, it's very hard for it to make your food not kosher for Pesach. You ask a shiloh, but it's very hard to make. It's not like chametz. If chametz falls into your food on Pesach, it's hopeless. But if kidneys falls into your food, and that point actually comes up a lot, which is somebody bought something that wasn't kosher Pesach. Let's say they bought pick a food, one of these foods that we said don't buy because it has kidneys in it, and they used it. They used it for their cooking. When they asked the Rav the shiloh, the Rav needs to understand if this is just a question of kidneys, then maybe bubble, and b'diavad you could use it. If it already happened, you could use it. Okay, so the Rav who answers the shayla needs to know, is this a chametz question, or is it just a kidneys question? If it's just a kidneys question, then in most cases, the food is okay after it was done. B'diavad it was okay.
Now, the word vinegar is marijuana, right?
Hemp, I didn't put up there. Hemp is on the screen yet. But it is, I'm going to talk about that in Mitzvah Shem in 2 Fridays about marijuana, in case you're curious. The Friday share is going to be not only that marijuana,
This is
but
what you said, that it's the weed and not the...
I'm going to talk about that in Mitzvah Shem in 2 Fridays.
Now, I know what you... What about vanilla? I didn't see it.
Coming, I think it's
There's
coming.
4 frames.
There's
of
4
thickness.
I don't know if vanilla's on this
What
screen.
the heck? There's no vanilla.
I don't remember where vanilla is. It's not kidneys.
You mean a vanilla bean?
Yeah.
No, the vanilla pot.
It's not kidneys. I don't remember why it's on this list, but it's not kidneys.
Even the big...
That's why
Even
it's
the-
not list, it's not kidneys.
No, why it's not any place. It's on, maybe, I don't know if it's on one of the other lists. I don't remember. Okay, they're not kidneys.
Here, look it up.
You know what? I think it's on this list because people don't buy vanilla beans in the store. That's not a common thing that people buy in the store. But people buy vanilla extract. Okay, that would need hashgacha for other reasons because of the extract, the alcohol.
The lady asked, she bought it. She wants to know what she pays.
No, because vanilla beans, the actual beans. No. If people, wait. Did she buy fresh beans or she bought spent beans? Okay, what it is when
Still in the pot.
companies that make vanilla extract take the beans,
Yeah,
extract the
alcohol.
the fragrance or the flavor or whatever it is, and then they sell you the spent beans. Okay, spent beans need hashgacha pesach. Okay, next. What's coming next? I don't remember. Next is.
Next frame of thickness.
I'm trying to remember what's coming next on my screen. I don't know. Let's see. Pop up. Okay, there are some foods that are not kidneys. Okay, what popped up on the screen so far is amaranth, but the same is going to be spices and quinoa. Okay, these are things that are inherently not kidneys, but there is a possibility, we're concerned of a possibility that in the way they process it, let's say in the little grains like amaranth and quinoa, when they package it, they might package it with chametz grains, or with spices, they might grind it together with, in the same machine we use for breadcrumbs. So therefore, these things we tell you need hashgacha for Pesach, not because the thing is kidneys by itself. Inherently, amaranth is not kidneys, but there's a possibility it's run in equipment that also is used for kidneys, or used for chametz, so we tell people not to use it. Okay, now, there's a group of foods, anise, caraway, cumin, coriander, there's 4 or 5 of them. They're all the same plant. They're not kidneys. Okay, as a rule, things that are spices, this is a rule that the Ramah says, things that are spices are not kidneys. Okay, but this group, anise, caraway, cumin, coriander, there's a few more. They'll come up, fennel, it's coming up in these things. They are things that the place can say are commonly mixed in with chametz. And I actually was in a spice plant, maybe it was 2 years ago, and the person said to me, he said, I'm going to show you. And he scooped out randomly a handful of these fennel seeds, and lo and behold, there were other grains mixed into it. I don't remember if they were chametz or not, but there were other grains mixed into it. It has to do with how they grow, etc. So those bunch of spices, the place can say, there's different opinions in the place can what to do with them. We follow the opinion they shouldn't be used unless there was some really thorough cleaning process to make sure there's nothing left in them. If we don't recommend them, other hashgachas have products that have them that we don't recommend.
Why should we be conscious this for all spices? It's not particularly fennel.
It is.
I would assume it would happen.
Right, but that's because we're not spice growers. That's because we're not spice growers. The spice grower says, no, I'm going to show it in the fennel. I'm not going to show it to you in the black pepper. In this one, I'm going to show it to you. Okay? Whole black pepper, you will see in the later screen, whole spices are okay. Ground spices we don't recommend.
And here, whole would also be okay?
Whole what? No, these things, even whole, are not okay. Because whole has other grains mixed into it. The black pepper, our only concern is the grinding process. What else goes through that machinery? But whole of those spices are okay. But these things are not okay even in the whole thing. Yes.
So other hashgachos texture on spice mix that has like cumin or something.
We don't recommend it.
So they didn't check to make sure that the spice.
Okay, so without mentioning names, we spoke to the other hashgachas. Rabbi Schwartz said, if they can explain to us what they did to make sure that it was cleaned thoroughly, we'll accept it. And we said to them, okay, please tell us. And we didn't really get a good answer. And therefore Rabbi Schwartz said, so we won't accept it. That's what I did.
We're not accepting ground spices.
No. This is cumin, anise, whatever.
Is this hafsher that you're talking about a recommended hafsher?
Yeah, a reputable hafsher. This
So then how should we go to the market? They're going to tell me it's going
The
to
shiloh for the Rav is for a mug. You just tell me, ask your rabbi.
Okay,
But they're not going to...
They are asking
Because
the
they're going to
rabbi.
say...
They're looking at their rabbi.
so
They're going to say this has a reputable hashgacha.
so what? Wait. So what it is
Wait a minute, we
we
don't even
can't.
want to tell them that they can't.
It's an unusual thing.
They're not
That
going
there's
to
a
follow
rec.
it because they're going to see the Hector on us
And they're going to use it.
I'm at. It's an unusual thing. This is a reputable hashgacha. That's a particular item we're not accepting. And what we do is like this. In the stores that we certify, like as in Hungarian, it's not in the Pesach section. It's in the non-Pesach section. If I remember, there's even a sign that says, we don't recommend this for Pesach. But what happens if somebody buys it and uses it? They're relying on that hashgacha. You know, so it's an unusual thing that here we have a reputable hashgacha, and we put this one little item that we're not accepting.
Should we be able to recommend some other ones? Like, is there a common
No,
brand for
because the price can say you can't use them unless you basically can't use it.
Is there a reputable hashgacha? That's what they sell.
No, we can't.
So you just can't use this at all based on.
Right.
There is no such thing as a reputable hashgacha.
So far we have.
Hashgacha that
I
we
can tell you that,
accept.
I mean, in our Pesach hotels, it's a big part of the, let's say, the shawarma dish and all that, and we, it has the OU on it, whatever we don't want to use.
That we're going to mention. Okay. Next.
University.
There are people who haven't been hugging to not use certain things. Cloves and cloves is on here now, but in the later screen is saffron. So there are people who have minute not to use it. Most people do not have that minute nowadays. There were times that there was problems with cloves, and most people don't have that problem. We do mention it to people that there is such a minute. If that's your family minute.
Cloves and
Has
saffron.
alcohol on it.
Cloves and saffron. They used to. It's not a realistic concern nowadays that there's alcohol on it. So for the people, yes, again, there are some people who say that was my family minute, and I keep doing it like that. And if that's what your family does, that's what you should do. But most people, if something is actually kidneys, they don't use it. But if it's just one of those ultimate hug'em, we tell people that they can do it. Unless if you have a family minute going back for whatever that you don't use clothes, go for it. Okay, next. What's coming next? Okay, the issue of using kidneys is to eat it. You're allowed to keep it, not like chametz. You're allowed to keep it, and you're allowed to have benefit or use it. Other things, as long as you're not eating, and therefore, baby powder. Baking powder. I don't know what baking powder is. Baby powder and buckwheat pillows. Okay, baking powder is not kidneys. But baby powder and buckwheat pillows are made out of kidneys, but you're not eating them. Okay, you're putting baby powder on your baby. Okay, or you're sleeping on the buckwheat pillow. That's okay. You're just not allowed to eat these kidneys.
A pillow made with buckwheat?
Yeah, this is
Okay. Now, I don't know what baking powder is.
Yellow.
Ignore it. I'll have to look at it.
Baking soda is green, baking powder.
Okay. Antacids are typically chewable and made with kidneys, and we therefore only recommend using them if you know that they don't have chametz in them. It's on this list because the common issue that they have in them is that the kidneys. Okay, here's some more kidneys.
know if it has chametz?
You look at the ingredients. Okay, then we're going to read through some. So here are the simple ones that are chametz. The simple kidneys is lentils and mustard and hemp. Flax seeds are not kidneys, that's why they're on here. And oil, like common vegetable oil, is usually made out of kidneys oils. You can make kidneys, so for Pesach it needs to have hashgacha. Here's the leaves and seeds again. Okay, and now our favorite, nuts. Okay, the one that you eat.
Let's just save it at the end. I think you want to send them in on thumbs.
It's actually going to come again, but antacid comes again when we get to the letter T. But antacids are the primary ingredient in them tends to be kidneys. That's why they're on this list, and they're edible, and therefore we don't recommend them. The ones that you chew, the chewable antacids, therefore we don't recommend them unless you know they have hashgacha. Tums, which is coming in a second, actually has hashgacha on it for year round. We've been in touch with the rabbi who gives hashgacha for it, and he says, listen, I know what's in there. I don't know that it's chametz, but I can't say that it's chametz free, and therefore we don't recommend it. It's surely kidneys. But even kidneys, cholim are allowed to have kidneys. People who are sick, who need it for medicinal purposes can have it. But we don't recommend it because we can't find out if it's chametz free either. We get talking to the person. Because he can't. He gives the hashgacha on it and says it's too involved, and I can't figure out whether it's chametz free or not.
Again, the problems are many books have.
Other lists say that it is because they did their own determination that there's no chametz in it. But here's the person who has like the inside scoop. I mean, he gives hashgacha to it. He knows what goes into it and says, I can't figure it out.
I'm sorry. Something like that. That's partially correct. They don't care about flavors.
Okay.
That's the difference.
Okay, that's part of it. That's part of it.
No, they didn't research the flavors.
They didn't.
They did not research.
They didn't research lots of the other things in the reader. Okay, so that's a different day's discussion. Okay, we were talking about nuts. Okay, now, nuts. Peanuts, that's coming in later screen. Peanuts are kidneys. Besides the peanuts, which we consider to be kidneys, all the other nuts are not kidneys. Okay, what we call tree nuts are not considered to be kidneys. If they're blanched or roasted, we don't allow them for Pesach. If they're spiced, or Mrs. Myers can give you the whole. I can't do this. Well, there we go. Okay, if it's anything done to it, it's not okay. Okay, it's not okay to it. But if it's not a peanut and there's nothing to it, nothing else was done to it, then you're okay. Okay. One more exception to that is pecans. Okay, pecans. That's going to come in the later screen. But one other exception is pecans. One other exception is pecans. That we had some connection to a company that used alcohol in their pecans, and it became like chakwa. You can't use pecans, pieces. Anything pecans that are out of their shells, you can't use for Pesach, according to cRc. Doesn't say what.
That's pecans?
I'd be surprised. Okay. Well, it depends where you come from.
What about, Dovid?
Yes.
What about nuts and quick we have like BHC, ABC,
Right, I'm sorry. BHC, BHA, also anything added
Are those
to the
listed in the ingredients?
Yes.
Is it possible on the ingredient it would just say nuts, and it's one of these small mom and pop operations, they don't list everything?
No.
Or they have to?
Well, we believe that it lists there. It's pretty common that it's on there. A long list of things with it.
What was it about pecans?
No, all of them. Anything that's not a whole pecan in the shell, it's no good. That's the change from last year.
And
Okay.
it does say, what is about cashews?
I'm going to talk about that afterwards. We'll talk about that afterwards. Okay.
What's with cashews?
Same thing.
Live cashews?
Same thing. Do you have something different thing about cashews?
I thought the cashews go through a whole different process. They're not actually in the same sort of shell. And in order to get them out, you never see a cashew in its shell.
Correct.
Because there's a whole process in order to get them out, and possibly process them.
Okay. I don't remember offhand. I do remember we once looked into it. I don't think it's a problem, but I could check again. I once looked into it. Okay. Okay. Now, here's a bunch of more things on our third screen. Here are things that are kidneys. There are a whole bunch of things here that are kidneys. What's of note over here is the rice milk. Rice milk can have chametz in it also. So even though kidneys is okay for people who are a choila, let's say if there's a choila, and the only thing that's going to make him better is popcorn, okay, then he can eat popcorn, okay, but if rice milk, there are lots of children who need to have rice milk, that's all they can have, milk substitutes, thank you, and rice milk is one of them, so they're obviously kidneys, but they're allowed to eat kidneys, those kind of people. So the question is, we have to make sure they don't have chametz in them. For that, it's in our guide already. I don't think it's online yet, but it's in our guide. And we collect information on which ones of those are free of chametz, so people who have to have them and who are allowed to eat kidneys should have those also. We want them to have those options. Okay.
Same for soy milk, I noticed you didn't write about soy milk.
Because soy didn't come on yet.
No, it's the next one. Number 4.
S-O-Y.
Soy milk also has chametz in it? The soy milk's on the next one.
Come. Okay, pumpkin seeds are not chametz, in case you're curious, that's why it's on here. Quinoa, like you mentioned beforehand, that there's questions about the processing of it. Saffron is the thing that has the minhagim. Some people that have pecans, there we go. Pecans, and say like them. And, okay.
But are we saying quinoa that you need to buy it with the hatches?
That's what it says. That's what it says on there. It's yellow, or orange, or whatever color you think that is. Because it needs hashgacha because we don't know what else it's packed with. Okay. Soy sauce, commonly, the second ingredient commonly is wheat. So not only might it be kidneys, but it might be chametz also. Has to do, hold on a second. It has to do with people who are cholim. I'm not sure if anybody's a cholim that needs soy sauce, but as far as owning it, yes.
In the Russian guide, it says the whole spiel about soy sauce and how by the time the soy sauce is, once actually use wheat, that by the time it's read in the store, the wheat's usually not there anymore.
Okay.
Does that make a difference? Or?
Not for us. Not for chametz wise. No. We have to do yashimah, not for chametz wise. Okay. What else we got here? Tums. These are tums. And turmeric is not a kidneys. Okay, yeast. Yeast is on here because I mentioned earlier brewer's yeast. That's real chametz. The regular yeast that you have in your house is made by fermentation. What that means is very complicated. But the purpose of us is that it could be made out of chametz. But it's likely made out of kidneys living in the United States. So the yeast that you have in your refrigerator, unless you have sourdough is chametz. But if you have plain yeast in your house for making challah, that yeast is almost for sure kitniyos. There's a small chance that it's chametz. Now, no one's going to use it on Pesach anyhow. But as far as owning it or keeping it, we don't recommend it because it's for sure kitniyos and it might even be chametz. But as far as owning it, chances are that it's not chametz. Okay.
String beans.
String beans, yes.
You put it here, I'll just want to point out that I want to raise that right, or my should say.
I'm saying what we think. You know? The serious policy that we consider string beans to be kitniyos. That's why I told you.
One of the purposes that when people get the calls, that they are string beans, what did my rabbi say?
There are people who think that string beans are not kitniyos, yes, but it's generally assumed, most Americans assume they are kitniyos. Yes. I mentioned peanuts. In South Africa, they eat peanut butter on Pesach. They don't consider it to be kitniyos. There are people who don't eat peanuts also, but I'm writing what we think that we consider to be kitniyos. Yes, okay. Okay. Next. Okay, next group. Vegetables. Okay. Okay. So, vegetables, it turns out that the vegetables themselves, if they're not kitniyos, then they should be okay. Okay, but it turns out, I didn't do this on purpose, it just worked out like this, that the questions about vegetables is, could be broken, it's ABC. Okay? As simple as ABC. There we go. ABC. Okay. Additives, blanching, and canning. Okay. Three things that can go wrong with a vegetable. Okay. What?
You can be motivational speaker for this. You have to be like a motivational speaker.
Here we go. ABC. Yeah, that's right. Additives, blanching, and canning. And that is like this. As I mentioned to you beforehand, that when peeled vegetables or salads or things like that are washed with citric acid, they have other things like that are additives that are a question. They inherently, if they were for Pesach, they would be okay. It happens to be, salads is a little different than other things. In salads, there are lots of them that have hashgacha for Pesach, where the hashgacha makes sure that they switch their additives to make sure they're kosher for Pesach. And for that reason, we tell people they should buy with hashgacha. We don't say, or buy them before Pesach. Okay? Because the additive with hashgacha is very available. People are putting the effort to make it kosher for Pesach. It's not like eggs that are maybe harder to find. And therefore, for salads, big salads, we tell people, buy with hashgacha for Pesach. Okay? Now, the rest of the vegetables, the next thing is blanching. Vegetables that are frozen, before they freeze them, they do a light cooking to them. They dunk them into boiling water for a few seconds. It's called blanching. And there's this possibility that those same blanchers were used, for pasta. Doesn't seem so likely, but it is possible. So we tell people they should not use frozen vegetables because they might have been made on chametz kale, cooked on chametz kale. And then canned is the third thing. Okay, that applies to all kinds of canned vegetables, of course. Tomato products that are canned or jarred, and baby food, like in cans or jars. And that means like this. When you put something into a can, what you do is you put the food into the can, seal the can up or seal the jar up, and then cook it inside the can. And that kills anything that's living inside of there so that the food doesn't spoil or become dangerous. So that same canning machinery could be used for lots of other things. This is a very likely possibility. Think about it. When you buy a jar of baby food of carrots in baby food, the next jar over, it's got oatmeal in it. Okay? Or if you buy a can of tomato sauce that's plain, well, the next one has in it tomato sauce with pasta or meat or anything else. It has all kinds of other things. So things that are canned need to have hashgacha for year-round, of course, and for Pesach as well. And what's coming next? Oh, now the ones that have nothing in them, okay, the plain old plain raw vegetables, including baby carrots, that's a common question, are okay. And
Are they used vegetable wash on the baby carrots?
I don't know why we had this impression that the baby carrots are always okay, even if they're fresh. I'm not sure why, but that's just like
They have to be
Oh, no,
washed
go
before
with it. No,
Pesach?
okay.
that they are okay.
We
don't have to be. No, we tell people that they're okay. We don't tell them to buy before Pesach. I'm not sure 100% why.
Just salads?
Yeah. Okay, and then here's our coconut again. Like, well, baby carrots are cut. So that's okay. Yes.
When it says mushrooms raw or dried, so the sliced mushrooms and the sliced fresh mushrooms are okay?
Yes.
Dried mushrooms? What do you mean dried?
Dried.
Yes, this is
Dried mushrooms.
Right, not
Okay.
freeze dried.
And no, not freeze dried. A vegetable wash, threw in there. I don't know if you noticed it slipped in the vegetable wash. It's not really a vegetable, but it needs hashgacha for Pesach.
Why are dried mushrooms okay and not dried fruits? It's not the same processing?
Because it doesn't have the oil to keep them from sticking from each other. Think about a bunch of raisins together clump up, and a bunch of mushrooms are not going to clump up. Okay, we're getting there, guys. We're almost there. Okay, if you have patience, I'll go to the end. Okay, we've been going for a while. Okay, fruits. I better get moving. Okay, fruits can't be chametz, and they can't be paid.
Sorry, what do you say about the baby jars, like plain carrots?
They need hashgacha for Pesach because they're. I said they do need hashgacha for Pesach. Yeah, of course. Okay. Okay. Fresh fruit is okay. Isn't that great? One thing on the screen. Fresh fruit is okay for Pesach. Okay, but if you have jams and jellies, those are sweetened, and they very likely have kidneys in them, and in addition to other problems. Plus, jams and jellies, sweetened things. Then dried fruits we mentioned already have problems, and then what's coming next? Anybody? Okay, there are kalim issues about cooked fruits. Canned fruits canned fruits are not nearly as serious as canned vegetables, but because just having to do the way the machinery works, canned fruits is much less of a concern. We tell people only have to buy their canned fruit with hashgacha for Pesach. Okay, now if frozen fruit without anything else added to it, anything else that's sensitive, basically like you can put sugar in, but that's it. Frozen fruit is okay if there's nothing else to it. It's not cooked or sweetened and anything else.
Sweetened with sugar is okay.
Sweetened with sugar happens to be okay, yes. So it doesn't say that on this sign here, but yeah. Okay, and then, last but not least for this one, is, what happened to something else? Okay, I know what else. I'm sorry. Second to last is olive oil. Okay, when you make olive oil, like with other oils, at the end of the process, you need to heat it to remove odors, to deodorize it, to remove odors from it. That equipment could be used for other things also, mainly for kidneys, but potentially, I guess, for chametz, for regular oils. The only exception to that rule is extra virgin olive oil, because that olive oil is done without any heat, and it's not deodorized, and the people who use it like the odor that it has to it, and therefore, so extra virgin olive oil is okay, but anything else, the extra light or the flavored or the regular olive oil, all the other olive oils are all need hashgacha for Pesach. And last, is that, this you have to remember for Tu B'Shvat, is that chocolate is a fruit. So cocoa powder's on here, and we have it on here because in Europe, there were people who added glucose to their cocoa powder, which in Europe especially could have been chametz. So we say European cocoa powder needs hashgacha for Pesach.
You know what Hershey's is?
Hershey's is okay. It's okay. It's on our list.
Can you make sure that cocoa powder is
In America, you can just buy regular cocoa powder.
In America, our list says, in America, first of all, the glucose wouldn't be chametz, but second, I don't believe it's even legal in America. In Europe, it is legal to add the glucose to food. So we tell people to not use the European stuff without hashgacha. Okay, juice. That's what it says on our list. Okay.
It's actually 100% pure, not processed pure. In all versions.
Okay. Now, juices have two problems to them. One is that some of them use enzymes in getting as much juice as they can out of the fruit. The other is that they are pasteurized. Pasteurization is the heating process to make it not spoil. And we're concerned that that's done on shared equipment with other things. So therefore, the only thing that we recommend is pure concentrated orange juice. That doesn't mean orange juice from concentrate. I mean, just in the concentrated form, and it's just plain old canned or whatever, a frozen orange juice, those are okay.
No vitamins.
Without anything else into it. Just pure, plain old orange juice, that's okay.
I don't understand. Does that mean it's frozen?
Yes,
Yeah.
just the frozen. Not if it's in a bottle.
So it should say frozen.
It does. Pure concentrated oranges. Oh, I'm sorry, I take it back. If you would buy concentrated oranges in liquid form, it would be okay also. But you can't buy them. You can't buy them. But what we buy is frozen. Okay, but it has nothing to do with the freezing process per se.
Okay.
If in the concentrated form, we think that's okay.
If you can find it.
You could have it. Okay. We got to keep on moving.
But only orange juice.
Only orange juice, not any other juices.
Not apple.
Okay.
I thought we said apple juice we do or what?
We don't.
Why?
I'll tell you that afterwards. Say about afterwards. Cold drinks. Okay. Oh my gosh, we're really running here. Okay, cold drinks. Okay. Okay, the simplest reason why drinks need hashgacha is because they're flavored. Okay, lots of drinks are flavored. Okay, so if you want pop or soda, whichever part of the country you come from, or flavored water, you can't use it because they have flavor to it. Okay, the next is carbonation. Carbonation. One of the ways of getting carbon dioxide is a byproduct of making whiskey and beer, and there's a question as to whether that carbon dioxide that would come from those processes would be considered chametz or not. The cRc considers that it is chametz. Well, it's a question, but we consider it to be chametz, and therefore anything that's got carbon dioxide and anything that's got bubbles, we say needs hashgacha. So seltzer and flavors and sodas. Carbon dioxide, CO2.
Have you heard about the soda stream, sir?
Soda stream is fine.
Okay, so whatever that we have to find is
No,
okay.
it's certified, but you can get it elsewhere. We're marked around CO2.
We are. That's what I said. We are. Okay. Yes.
Just in general. When we say it has to have a hashgacha, so then we send somebody to the supermarket, they find the one with the hashgacha, so that hashgacha is the one that relies on the fact that they don't care.
That's a good question. So, carbon dioxide, right? Well, as a rule, the hashgachas tend to think the same way. But in this case, in carbon dioxide, there are hashgachas who don't think the way we do. There are other hashgachas who, for very legitimate reasons, say that carbon dioxide can come from any place. Or they say carbon dioxide can come from kidneys, but not from chametz. So there's different, variations of this. So you're right. When we rely on somebody else, a little bit if we
That's in the book.
know, we're accepting their decision unless we know otherwise.
So we're driving the consumer nuts just...
No, if we asked that hashgacha and they told us, no, we let every carbon dioxide, then we wouldn't recommend their products. You know what I mean? But as a rule, we assume, until we know otherwise, we assume that they think the same as us. Okay, and last is there are some drinks that have enzymes in them. Okay, and those are, for example, wine and lactate milk. Okay, the lactase, the enzyme that breaks down the milk to make it into lactate milk or the pills, is often made from chametz, made on wheat bran, and therefore it needs hashgacha. The lactate milk, the milk itself, if you can't buy it with hashgacha, I don't know if it exists with hashgacha, we tell people if you buy it before Pesach, then it's okay, because the lactase is bottled before Pesach. And cyanamide, in case you're curious. Okay, you could also take lactate in a non-chewable pill. That's not edible. And if you can find water that has no carbon dioxide, no flavors, no vitamins, it's just plain old-fashioned water, you're okay. You have it in your kitchen. There you go. That's okay. Straight from Lake Michigan. Okay. Then you're okay. Okay. You should know there are people who only use water that was taken out of the sink before Pesach. You should just know.
Really?
Yes, there are people like that. Yes. That's a different question. No, it's a different reason. Okay. Okay, we really have like 2 or 3 left to go. 3, 4 to go. Okay. Coffee and tea. Okay. Okay, the simplest reason why coffee and tea need hashgacha Pesach is if they're flavored. Okay, you buy herbal teas almost always are flavored, or flavored coffees and teas, so they need hashgacha. That's simple. Okay. Next.
Wait, before you go away.
Yes.
But did you do the research on this pure black green, blah, 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 blah?
I get that, yeah. I'll be there in a second.
All right.
Okay. Decaf coffee and tea has a separate problem, which is the process of getting the caffeine out of the coffee beans can be done with something called ethyl acetate, and that can be chametz, so we don't recommend decaffeinated coffee or tea unless we know otherwise. We tend to find out about different brands that are okay, but without knowing otherwise, we don't allow it unless it has hashgacha. And instant coffee and instant tea have a different question, which is the kalim that they're made on to dry them out to a powder. Our question, and they sometimes get starches into them as they're drying it out, so those things need hashgacha, and K-cups the same. Okay.
Now, are we saying there's a difference between freeze-dried and...
Yes, there is really a difference between freeze-dried and instant coffee. For most consumers, they can't tell the difference by themselves, which is which. So a lot of what we get out, a lot of what we're told to say this brand is okay, is because basically we're saying that brand is freeze-dried. Either because we decided or the hashgacha told us that. Okay, that's a lot of what you see of hashgacha saying this brand of our coffee is okay. It's because basically they're saying it's
the
good.
store says Nescafe freeze-dried.
Yes.
And they buy it.
Yes, but it's not always so clear. It's not always so clear what it is. And if you scoop it out, we've done this before, if you scoop it out, I can show you the difference. In a second, you'll know the difference between what's freeze-dried and what's instant. I can teach it to you in a second. It's very easy to tell. But the instant powder much more easily than the freeze-dried is. Okay, but we tell people, don't buy instant unless you know that it's okay. If you could figure it out by knowing what's freeze-dried, then you're in business. Okay?
What was the problem again with this?
The instant is that a powder, starches are added to it as part of the drying process when they freeze-dried. Okay, now, if you have plain, when they not freeze, I'm sorry, when they spray-dry. When they spray-dry. Okay, if you have plain coffee beans, okay, or you have plain tea, okay, black, green, or white, that's all the same for us, with nothing else in it, and it's not decaffeinated, it's not instant, and it's not flavored, and it's not anything else, then you're okay.
What was the problem with the bags? Tea bags.
We are not worried about that problem. Okay, and coffee whitener, which is not really coffee and tea.
This kind of tea that's okay is not going to come in a tea bag.
Yeah, it says or tea bags. See, it says tea leaves or tea bags
Which
are
are
okay.
not flavored, instant, or decaffeinated. How's a tea bag not? What do you mean it's not instant tea bag?
Instant means like as in powder. Instant tea means you take a powder and dunk it in and into the water and make it. The tea bag is not instant. That's leaves. There are actual leaves inside there.
The K-cups are, do you know of any other are kosher for Pesach?
Well, we're going to check in the OU book to see if that big brand is okay for Pesach.
And what about kosher and the
Not today.
What's our opinion on that?
Beats me. Not for today. Hey, we're talking about food.
And the ground coffee is that.
Okay. We're really almost there, guys. We're really almost there. Okay. Okay. Here we go.
It's not flavored?
Dairy products.
Yeah.
3 to go, people. 3 to go. Okay, dairy products. All the ones that you're going to see on this list need hashgacha for Pesach.
Unflavored?
Your milk you want to add.
Okay. It goes like this. The first thing, when you make dairy products, is banana milk. And I mentioned to you already, milk has potential questions to it. If you bought the milk before Pesach and you didn't have a choice, we would say it's okay. But as a rule, we say buy with hashgacha. If you can't get that, buy it before Pesach. So milk is listed basically as needing hashgacha.
Is it better to import milk with extra or just not import milk? Someone
Say it again?
Is it better? He was asking me, should he import and try to get milk from? He lives in an area where there's no milk with hashgacha, so he wants to bring it in. So is it better to bring it in with hashgacha? Or
You
just
should ask
buy
the rabbi
it?
that question. Ask the rabbi that question. Okay.
His rabbi was a rise about.
Okay. Okay. Butter is made out of milk. So butter also sometimes has other ingredients to it. Okay, so if it has other ingredients, it's sensitive. But sometimes butter is just butter, just cream and salt. That's a common thing to just find butter out of. Then it just has the shines of milk to it. It doesn't have the other questions. Okay. Cheese and yogurt are made with enzymes that are mimed the cheese. And
How does it take long enough to get to the market?
yes, I wouldn't worry about butter that was made yesterday coming on. It's not that big. Cheese and yogurts are made with enzymes and cultures that need hashgacha for Pesach. And then all these other ones, ice cream and sorbet and margarine. I know margarine's not dairy, but close enough. All these other things have too many things in them, and therefore they need hashgacha for Pesach. Okay, 2 to go, guys. We are almost there. Okay, now, meat and fish. Okay, meat and fish. Plain fish and plain meat are not a problem for Pesach. Okay, they're inherently kosher for Pesach. There's nothing to them. So inherently they should be okay. However, here's our problems. Okay, frozen fish is sometimes glazed with corn syrup. Okay, corn syrup is not kosher for Pesach. Okay, so that needs hashgacha. And processed fish.
Including frozen shrimp.
Yes, says it already. Frozen shrimp. Okay, including now processed fish, and cooked fish. Obviously, these things need hashgacha to know what it was done with. And then another related thing is ground meat and poultry. We have a concern that ground meat and poultry would ground on the same grinders that we use for chametz also. So we tell people to buy them for Pesach, buy them special for Pesach, and repack meat and poultry. That means if the butcher bought a case of chickens or he bought a whole side of beef and he cut it up himself, we have this concern that maybe he did that on dirty counters, and therefore we don't let it. And canned, of course, as I mentioned before, that the canning process can be used for lots of things. That's a much more serious concern than what we said beforehand. And if you have meat and poultry, that's in the original packaging. That means this. Original packaging means this. It comes to the store already packed by the packing house. It's packaged by Rosenblatt. It doesn't say on it, packaged by Hungarian. It's packaged by the actual place it says. It comes with a Charbor wrapping over it, okay? It's wrapped already from them, that's okay. They're kosher Pesach. You wouldn't worry about that. But if it's done by your local store, a Hungarian puts it into their own trays, then you have to be concerned unless you know that it was made kosher Pesach. Hungarian is already kosher
What
Pesach.
about meal mart ground meat that comes from meal mart?
Okay, that's a good answer for fish kind of question. I don't know. I don't know if they stand behind that ground meat as being okay Pesach. I don't know. I guess we'd have to ask them whether they stand behind that year round that is kosher Pesach. I don't know. Okay, and our last group here.
Honey.
Well, I actually call what I call seasoning. Okay, but it does, honey is going to be in one. Is going to be in this list. That's why I put the honey on there. It looks pretty new. Okay, and that is like this. Okay, there's a whole bunch of reasons why the things here need hashgacha. Some of them are made by fermentation. Aspartame and MSG are made by fermentation, which means to say is the ingredient. There's sugars that are in there that could have been from chametz, likely from kidneys, but they could have been from chametz. Next, ground spices and honey. We have kalim issues. Okay, when you grind the spices, you might have used that for other things. Or honey is often bottled hot just to make it flow more smoothly. So we're considering what else is around that on those kalim. Now, there's a bunch. Most of the seasonings, the shaila is not the seasoning itself, but things that are added to it. Like, for example, if you have Splenda, that's the sweetener that's in there is not the issue. The problem with these sugar substitutes is that they're so potent that people couldn't use them in their houses if they came at their full strength. You have to put like 2 grains into your food. So what they do is they bulk it up by putting in other things into it, like cornstarch. That's a common thing to put into it. So this way you can take a spoonful of it for your coffee rather than taking just one speck to put into your coffee. Okay? So the sugar substitutes and a lot of these other things, like salt that has iodine, it's not the iodine that's the problem. It's that iodine, when it's applied with something else with it. Or brown sugar. All these things are things that there's something else added to it. It's not inherently the thing that's wrong with it. Tends to not be the problem. But if you
iodine is right?
the iodine in itself is nothing. The thing that's added, yes. Okay. What happens if you have salt that has no iodine to it? No iodine added, or if you got the Skokie Shalas Manas, they had sea salt that had iodine, kosher Pesach. Okay, go figure. It's natural sea salt. It's called real salt. Okay, my kids will really funny. This is real salt. Okay, anyhow, so if it's without not iodized salt, is okay. It has no other additives to it. If you have whole spices, or if you have pure white cane sugar, just plain old sugar, you are okay. And what does that mean? That means
Raw sugar.
raw sugar.
Turbinado sugar.
That's fine. Those are fine. If they have nothing else added to them, then those are fine.
Thank you.